Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast Season 2. This week we're discussing Angel Episode 4, I Fall to Pieces. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And this episode originally aired October 26, 1999, attracting approximately 5.45 million viewers. Now, Dave, do you have any idea what the number one movie in America was this week?
How long it was? Did the last week's movie get the bump off the top, or is it still the uh,
It is a new,
rom-com
it is a
last
new,
week?
it is a new film that fits more with the time of year.
Oh, that's good. Just trying to remember with that time of the year, what would have been the big thing?
I would be a bit surprised if you're familiar with this one.
Hmm.
A
So
bit.
it's not the obvious pick that was most likely floating around in my head. Hmm.
Um, well, it's a 99 movie that I don't know if you would have seen, because I don't know how into horror movies you are, really.
Not too much. I vaguely have a memory of going to one particular horror movie with some people I knew from school.
Okay, someday we're going to have to get into that story, because that should be good. But it is a movie called, well, technically it's a remake. It's a remake of a movie from 1959 called House on Haunted Hill.
Ah, the name is somewhat ringing a bell, but again, most likely heard of it from other people discussing about horror movies, but no recollection of ever seeing it.
It's a great concept. Unfortunately, it just kind of the remake wasn't very good. Basic concept: a group of strangers are invited to a party at an abandoned insane asylum, where they offer $1 million each if they are able to survive the night.
Hmm. Pretty
It's
much a precursor to that one Cottage in the Woods movie that was popular around in the mid 2000s.
cottage. You mean Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah, something like that.
Cabin in the Woods is very different from that.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Because what I remember from hearing from a synopsis of that one, again, I don't think it was a full synopsis, but just sort of hearing the concepts, they seem about familiar. But
No, Cabin in the Woods basically is okay. I'm gonna spoil Cabin in the Woods,
for
but
anyone listening, cover your ears.
basically the whole gimmick of Cabin in the Woods is there's all these like facilities around the world, and they all have to like placate some kind of end of the world thing. They need to kill like certain stereotypes every year or every so many years. So this group of people that are like in this thing go to this like cabin in the woods, and then a bunch of things happen, and they inject like gases and stuff to make them act certain ways and stuff because they need to kill like the slutty cheerleader and the jock and these kinds of like predetermined stereotypes to stop the end of the world.
Follow particular rules of a horror movie.
Yeah, and they have like there's this really cool scene where they show like all the different monsters that could have come to attack them, and it's really cool. Anyway, it's a great movie. You should watch it.
Meh.
I'm not doing it justice in my 30-second explanation. Anyway,
Yeah, mostly the case.
anyway, number one song in America this week.
Uh, Nothing immediately coming up, but hopefully not too much of a change from last week. Or
It has not changed. It is still Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
hmm,
Alrighty, now for video games. You know how we had a banger last week?
yeah, the couple that were fairly big.
Uh, this is a hell of a year, Dave.
Yeah, with
Um,
all that particular stuff happening, the fact that supposedly the world would be ending in the next couple of months.
so, first off, we're going to discuss this came out 3 days after the episode aired.
Mm.
Rayman 2: The Great Escape.
Ah, yes.
I've never played the Rayman games, but I know that this was like a huge game for a lot of people.
Indeed. It was kind of one of those particular ones that kind of brought this game into the light for a lot of different people. for anyone who was interested within the Rayman series, it was a big step up for them. And then just with when it first came out, and then with all the other systems where the game was transferred over to, it had a decent amount of sort of staying power and introduction to the 3D world that they developed it within.
Yeah, it's one of those series that I've always wanted to kind of get into, but I've never really stuck my toe in it.
Yeah,
Now, the next game I'm going to mention is not a good game, but I don't care. It's South Park Shaq's Love Shack.
Jeff's loves Shaq.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was just a mispronunciation or some of the recording not coming through properly.
Oh yeah, yeah. Chef's Love Shack. It's it's not a good game, but it's certainly a game.
I can somewhat understand it. It was kind of the case with most of the South Park games that kind of came out around this time.
Oh yeah, they were all bad. Like I don't think there was a good one until like the Stick of Truth.
Yeah, with any of that, and I think it's just a question of I'm pretty sure I've seen it in some sort of way, like maybe box art or stuff like that. But after that, I don't have any recollection of it, and I'm not sure if I want to.
It's yeah, you don't. It's a trivia and like mini game collection, and that's about it.
Okay, so not as bad as I thought, which in most cases
Uh,
it isn't bad, but still questionable.
it's not great, and it was made solely because South Park was huge at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have another. Actually, does this game is that for this week or next week? Let me just quickly do the math here. No, it'll have to wait till next week because there's another banger, but it technically comes out the day of the next episode. So we will have to wait
Okay.
until then. But I'll just
Okay, we'll leave it till then.
all I'm gonna do is tease that it's a pretty big platformer. Oh,
No,
it's a banger.
understandable for the time.
Anyway, now let's get into this episode. Okay. We start off with Cordelia and Doyle discussing a need for actual income to match the outgoing from their business when Angel comes downstairs and tries a sip of the week old coffee,
Yeah.
which is good stuff.
Eh, depending on how well you keep it. If it's kind of left on the counter and whatnot, there's the chance it's probably not as great.
I mean, no coffee is good, so that's fine.
So says you, but yeah, I only mostly have it for the consciousness factor.
Alrighty. So, where am I here? Right. Cordelia keeps bringing up the idea of charging people for Angel saving them. Angel is not terribly happy about this idea. They both appeal to Doyle.
Understand both their parts, but they both kind of need to learn that, yeah, you guys kind of have a business. The business doesn't work if you don't get paid.
However, Doyle is racked with a vision about a woman named Melissa Burns. He sees her at the office where she works. Her coworkers fiddle with a cake so that they can wish a happy birthday to their supervisor, Penny. Penny blows out the candles, and another coworker arrives with a flower delivery. But instead of being for their boss's birthday, the bouquet is addressed to Melissa. The message from Ronald disturbs her so much that she retreats to the bathroom to take some tranquilizer pills, then leaves the office. Angel finds her down in the parking garage, where he offers to help her if she needs it. We
You
see
know, as Angel kind of does, as best as he can.
it is super creepy that this like tall guy in like a long black trench coat shows up and like, do you need help? No.
It's like, yeah, maybe it wouldn't hurt to maybe look up some self help tapes to find better ways to chat with people. maybe.
or just not wear like a long black coat and approach people in like a darkened car park. Like,
But then,
I
of course, the next step up for him would be gray, which isn't great, but anything more than that would just result in absolute ridiculousness.
I mean, why can't it be bright pink?
I'm thinking more along the lines of having to wear a blue suede suit, but either way, both would most
Oh, that's a
ridiculous.
good idea. Anyway,
Both would be ridiculous, Paul, and you know it.
yeah, but they would be good. Anyway, we find out that Melissa is being stalked by a Dr. Ronald Meltzer, which made me giggle. You don't get why, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, never mind. Every time I read Meltzer, I'm going to chuckle, so I apologize in advance.
Duly noted.
So we find out that Dr. Meltzer is stalking her. She basically is like, I don't know, but he knows everything that I do. Yada, yada, yada. We find out that Meltzer is he's a surgeon. Angel goes to Kate, his friend at the police department. We see her back.
Yes.
Finding out whether Melissa ever filed a complaint, Kate tells them that a report was indeed filed, but Meltzer's lawyers, Wolfram and Hart, took strong measures to protect their client, even going so far as to take a restraining order against Melissa. I wonder if Wolfram and Hart will be important later on. Kate also tries to give Angel some insight into the stalker victim's mindset. She believes that even when Melissa is physically safe, the fear will continue to haunt her unless she can get angry and start to fight back, mentally and emotionally. Kate offers to detail a uniformed car, like a patrol car, to watch Melissa's place for a night or two, and Angel accepts. Meanwhile, Doyle plays bodyguard and accompanies Melissa to work, which, for some reason, her bosses are just okay with this random guy hanging around the office. Angel breaks...
Yeah, that's true. That's a little weird.
It's really weird, especially because it's Doyle. This weird fucking Irish guy just kind of showed up. Anyway, Angel breaks into Meltzer's office looking for leads. One of the books from Meltzer's shelf disappears swiftly and smoothly into Angel's jacket. Meltzer discovers him, and Angel pretends to have a beloved wife needing an emergency eye surgery from a top-notch neurosurgeon. Price, of course, being no object. Angel gives Meltzer his undercover name and phone number as he leaves. Cordelia also interviews a colleague of Meltzer, who reports that he has a well-deserved reputation for being very difficult to work with. She goes on, basically he never shares his techniques or findings with the medical community at large, but he's really freaking good. So everybody kind of just lets it slide. Okay. So, later, Melissa is asleep in her bed when... oh, no, sorry, I skipped a part. Back at the Angel Investigations, Angel searches for information about, and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this name, but Vinpur Notpudian, the author of Anything's Possible, the book he stole from Meltzer's office. He then sends an email requesting a meeting. The author, a doctor himself, tells Angel that Meltzer attended many retreats with famous yogis and was able to master a combination of psychological and physical techniques that make the neurosurgeon an expert in psychic surgery as well. That night, while Melissa sleeps, Ronald's hands, just his hands, crawl across her apartment floor, then crawl under the covers of her bed. When the cop on patrol spots a man lurking in front of Melissa's building, he confronts Meltzer but backs off when the apparently harmless gentleman reveals he has no hands. Hearing screams, a few minutes later the cop rushes into the building and searches Melissa's room, finding her apparently alone. Just as he lets down his guard, Meltzer's hand attack from behind and strangle the cop to death. Frantic, Melissa runs outside, only to be caught and held before she can reach the street. Her panic subsides a little when she discovers herself that Angel is there. Neither Angel nor Melissa see Meltzer secretly hiding from behind the bushes. The police arrive on scene, and Kate comes over to ask Angel how, given the lack of evidence, he thinks the stalker could possibly be the perpetrator. Basically, what we're going to find out is that he can obviously detach his hands and other things from himself and send them out scurrying around and being really creepy. Right.
Essentially, controlling his limbs separated from his own body.
Yes. So Angel gets a call from Meltzer later on offering to do the surgery for his wife if he brings him $100,000. Angel agrees and goes to meet him. Uh, Meltzer, knowing that this is a trap, hits Angel with a tranquilizer, which I don't know how that even affects him in the first place, but whatever. Meltzer, thinking he's dealt with Angel, goes along to deal with Melissa, who has failed him, so he must punish her. Uh, Angel does show up in time, however, obviously not killed by Meltzer's drugged dart. Controlling shock, Meltzer spits his teeth at Angel, who blocks the bite and tries to close in on his opponent. When Angel comes within reach, Meltzer attacks with his scalpel, but Angel twists and the blade is embedded in his shoulder. As Angel backs up a few steps, Meltzer throws his hand at Angel's throat, but Angel breaks its grip and flings the hand away, seeing it scuttle back to its owner. Angel reaches up to his shoulder, yanks at the scalpel, and pins the wriggling hand to the floor. Meltzer's ears start to fall off, and he tells Melissa that it could have been so happy. However, Angel rushes up behind him and knocks his head off. The next day, the Angel Investigations team just finishes discussing the fate of Ronald Meltzer's parts being buried in 12 steel boxes under concrete. When Melissa drops by the office to thank everyone, she gives them a houseplant. The conversation quickly winds down until, at Cordelia's insistence, Angel reluctantly brings up the matter of the bill. To Angel's relief, Melissa seems sincerely grateful for the reminder of her other reason for stopping by. She matter-of-factly takes an already prepared check from her purse, gladly hands it over to a very happy Cordelia, then earnestly tells Angel that she hopes she never needs to see him again. Bemused, Angel agrees. And that was the episode.
Indeed.
Yes. So what do you think of this episode?
With this one, on whole, it's a simple enough episode and good enough as it was. But watching the episode for the first time, the concept was really interesting because before everything was sort of shown and described, I went the logical route of the victim described that when she got the surgery from the doctor, it's a case of there's a good chance he might have put some additional stuff in, either a camera or other things to spy on her. And with how everything panned and showed it, there could have been easy enough case of keeping that logic to it until you see a floating eyeball and you're like, oh, right, this is supernatural. And
Yes.
then just the concept of all the particular things being or being able to move and change around from that. On the one hand, it sort of reminded me a little bit of the Addams Family with Thing and how the hand sort of worked with that.
Yeah.
Definitely not to the same sort of extent, but just all the stuff that those sorts of things could get up to and where that stuff could go. It was definitely interesting and just sort of had my brain running of all the crazy concepts that you could throw in that sort of case. And I think there was actually a video game that explored it, which sadly wasn't very good.
Oh, okay. I don't remember this game, but that's not really surprising. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought the episode was fine. I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the weaker ones this season, at least from memory.
Mm.
But, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, with that, I think at the very most, it brings up a couple particular concepts that hopefully will stick with the show, just with how things are going on. The biggest being the fact that the victim needs to feel like they have power again,
Hmm.
so that they're not left out in the dark once the situation is passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
I think it was really good that Angel sort of brought up there's someone he had within the cops, and then she went back to the police friend that he knows to kind of confirm with her what the case sort of was to get that relationship sort of still there and have it advance from where it was going to go.
Yeah. So you brought up Kate. She is going to be. I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode, but she's going to be a recurring character for uh, this season and maybe into season 2.
Mm.
Um, she still doesn't know anything supernatural is happening. So, as far as she knows, Angel is just some guy who dresses in all black and never comes out during the day. She will, however, learn about the supernatural side eventually.
Mm.
Yes. So, if there's nothing else to add about this episode, next week we will be discussing the episode Room with a View. Um, yeah. So, here's the deal. Cordelia is going to get a new apartment.
Okay.
However, she's going to have, let's say, an unexpected roommate.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a ghost.
Uh. Hmm.
There's a
Again, I
ghost.
might have to see the episode because there's still so many ways in my head that it's supposedly going to be going.
There's a ghost of an old woman in her apartment, and it's going to be. Well, it's going to be an episode. So until
Hmm.
next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.